Buenas tardes, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, soy yo, tu conservative Nuyorican, aquí otra vez, una vez más. Sí, aquí at the noon hour with you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for taking the time, yes, to spend your lunchtime with me. Mira, let's not even waste any time right now because I want to bring Luis Martinez on. You've heard him on the show before. He's an entrepreneur. He's an HR dynamic guru. He's a former candidate for the state Senate here in this great state of New York. This is a guy who loves God, country, family, all those things that we talk about, right? All the things that you talk about. So, mira, Luis Martinez, hermano, ¿cómo estás? We observed it the best that we could as far as what we were doing, but with our schedules, we didn't really get to go out and do much. But yes, we made sure we took the time to acknowledge it, to celebrate it, and more importantly, Luis, to really share what that day means and you know the extent of it with our children and grandchildren. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you know, I brought that up on the ninth day of Christmas, Luis, because you know, in growing up, I always believed that the 12 days of Christmas was before Christmas, the 12 days coming to Christmas. I never realized the correlation there, but you know what? Growing up, I didn't pay a lot of attention in, which is very funny, in you know, in church school. No, 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 absolutely. But it's a, you know, it's a beautiful holiday that really isn't recognized in this country as it should be, in my humble opinion. Actually, it should be a federal holiday like Christmas and Thanksgiving and others. But you know, the birth or the recognition of the birth of Jesus Christ doesn't seem to jive with much of our politicians these days. La- Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I'm not doing calls today because Luis and I are kind of talking them some stuff. Yeah. I said, but listen, remember though, I'm on social media. Yeah. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Local. I'm on all of those. Feel free to go on there and leave us a message. See and check it out. Make sure that you're listening to us on 92 FM Key, on WYSL, 92.1 FM, 95.5 West FM, WLEA, 1480 FM, 106.9 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, you could hear us all over. Yep, there is absolutely a way for you to participate on this conversation. See, Luis, let me read up a Proverbs to you, if I may. And then I'd like your feedback on this, okay? Proverbs 31, verses 8 and 9 says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy." Now, before you respond, Luis, I want to lay a little groundwork on why I chose this particular proverb. And when you look at a lot of the mantra, a lot of the rhetoric coming from the left or the progressive left, when that goofball from Canada, their prime minister, when he resigned yesterday, or said he was going to resign, when they find someone else, all their mantra seems to fall around this whole we're speaking up for and defending the rights of the poor and the needy and the underserved and all that stuff. But yet, when you look at the policies of the left, it's doing everything but. So that's the reason why I chose that one, sir. Yep. And the thing is, when you say them, right, when you talk about those people, as far as policies and in context of people who are deciding what is right and wrong from you, Luis, we seem to have a gap, which I haven't been able to determine whether it's ignorance on our behalf or a very creative strategy on the politician's behalf. And let me be clear, I'm using the word politician intentionally, Luis, and I know you know what I mean, see? And so do our listeners. But for example, right, in New York City, and remember, if you look at what Hocus Pocus is doing now, because she's starting her gubernatorial race already, right? She's been beating up an Eric Adams in the New York City mayor, while also spending a lot of time and money in New York City, as most gubernatorial candidates do, right? But Eric Adams just decided that he wanted to run again for mayor of New York City, and he had a press conference the other day. He was saying that he was reporting that a 2.9% decrease in major index crimes from 23 to 24 as a basis of his success. But what they don't mention is the truth. So, for example, yes, there was a decrease that was notable. in murders, robberies, burglaries, thefts, and stolen automobiles, meaning that if yesterday they were stealing four, today they probably only stole three, right? But felony assaults have increased by 5%, right? Approximately crime rates, like overall crime rates, have approximately raised by 20%. These are the people that we continue to vote back into office that are making these decisions for us. I mean, what do you think? I mean, am I offbeat? You ran for Senate. No, absolutely. I think you did, Luis. I appreciate it. Hang on. We're going to take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go nowhere. No cambie ese dial. Soy yo, tu conservative New Yorker, aquí on the Voice of Liberty, La Voz de Libertad. We'll be right back. Soy yo, tu conservative Nuyorican here again. Hoy yo tengo Luis Martinez. Mira, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a wisdom from your conservative Nuyorican. See, check this out. Leadership means facing hard truth, tackling tough issues, and making decisions that shape the future. But not just for today, but for generations to come. See, Luis, gracias for hanging out with me, sir. Hey, I was the host. Those are my words. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm joking, Luis. I want to kind of stick on this Eric Adams in New York City for a few minutes, Luis, because and I mean I don't know how often you listen to this show. I'd like to think you listen every day, right? But I talk a lot about trickery. See, if we're supposed to believe, and I'm going to, right, that our election process is fundamentally correct, right? That the amount of fraud, whatever, is so minimal that it doesn't really impact elections, right? If we're supposed to believe that, then we have to believe, based on election results, based on what's happening in society, that overall we're being lied to. Would you agree? No. Interestingly, I mean, well, it's not interesting. You're not wrong at all, and it's funny because it even happens in the Republican Party, right? You step out of line, you question something, or you ask the wrong question, even if it's just out of curiosity, you're done. And that is what happened here, which is kind of what caught my attention with Eric Adams to begin with. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be paying any mind to him at all whatsoever. He's just another liberal, but he's running, right? And check this out, though. His approval rating dropped to 26% in October of 24, with 69% of voters believing he should resign, and 80% think he should not seek reelection, right? And on top of that, whether he wants to admit that he was part of the problem or not, Luis, he allowed a significant amount of illegal immigrants to be housed in New York City, right? Even advocated for it in the beginning. And the thing is this, right now, if I remember correctly, there's 112, what do we got? 112,700 individuals housed in shelters with was significant cost to the state. well, to the city in that case, which is dumbfounding to me that he's even considering running, or that there's even people considering to stand with him on that run. But you know what really baffles me, Luis, and this is really the concerning part where I said earlier, are we being bamboozled? And what is it going to take for the majority of us to say, hey, I see you now, and this is going to stop? Because, you know, as we talked about before, you remember Andrew Cuomo? Yeah. Most people tried to forget him, and I remember so many people were like jumping for joy. People in our circles, Luis, right? That were jumping for joy because Cuomo was resigning, and I'm like, yeah, y'all better be careful because you know we know this devil. We don't know much about Kathy Hochul, and boy, was she the biggest devil. Now, what scares me the most, because remember, Andrew Cuomo left under the gun. He left because 7 women accused him of sexual harassment of some sort, right? And the thing is this, when he did resign, guess what the incoming woman governor did about that? Nothing. Not a thing. And if I understood correctly, there's a couple of them got paid, which, you know, if you're setting something up. But when you look at what Kathy Hochul's doing in comparison to Cuomo, it's kind of like, how do you not see that wasn't an organized, a removal of Cuomo? Not because he was some guy that liked fondling women or hitting on women or whatever the heck he was doing, right? It's because if you look at her agenda, Cuomo also had his limits, right? Now, with that being said, though, 22%, Cuomo leads Adams by 22% to 12 in early polls. That's scary. Absolutely. Check this out. The city spent approximately $1.4 billion to provide shelter, food, and service in 2023. Mira, soy yo, the conservative New Yorker, here on the Voice of Liberty. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, thank you for hanging with us in that little extended break there, Mira. No te olvides, see, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch us on there live every day at noon. See, on WYSL's 1040 AM, 92.1 FMC, e 95.5 West FM. Pero check it out, right? Because growth and extension is what life is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Because in the southern tier, see, down in the beautiful countryside of that Hornell area, check it out, WLEA 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget you can catch us on all the social media outlets. And I would love to hear your comment today. Luis, I appreciate you hanging with me. Hey, I just saw your text message. That's okay, though. Ladies and gentlemen, leave us messages on social media. And then the thing is, of course, I'm on every day. You can give me a call tomorrow and say, Mira, ese Luis, que loco, see? Hmm. Hmm. Yep. Yes, yes, I've been seeing those. I've been letting it play out so I can, talk about it later. And I'm glad you brought that up because I mean, I think a lot of what we're talking about, a lot of the points you brought up, Luis, really shows how this administration, because all this stems right from the top all the way on down to our local offices, right? I mean, when you look at congesting pricing, you brought that up. I mean, talk about bamboozle, right? This governor has convinced a lot of people in New York City, a lot of poor folks, right, that they should just go and take the bus, right? You know, you peasants, you go over there and you take the bus, right? Because the only person that's going to not be able to afford the $18 a day on a round trip through that area are regular folks, Luis. I mean, it's like look at her funders, because I am sure that she's clearing a path for all those rich folks that aren't Elon Musk, right, to make it through that area without having to deal with the riffraff as she views the rest of us. Good. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Th- eh, Yeah. Hey, let me throw some numbers behind that, Luis. Let me throw some numbers so that listeners, I mean, like, check it out. And we talked about this, offline, Luis, when we were talking about out migration trends, domestic migration, those kind of things, right? Population decline between 2020 and 2022 in New York City alone declined by 5.3%, equating to a loss of 468,000 residents. They're not crazy. Um, in 2023, I know that why it would be over in 2023, over 480,000 people left New York State, right, with a net loss of 180,000 residents to Florida. Isn't that crazy? Pero mira this though. Between 2023 and 2024, New York City saw an increase of approximately 130,000 residents that they're calling residents, which are all, bueno, they're all illegal aliens. Or no, no, no. Let's try to be politically correct. They're asylum seekers. So so the city is projecting for fiscal year 2025. Their projections indicate costs could rise to over $6.1 million with an anticipated average daily census of almost 43,000 households. We're talking illegal alien households, equating to more than 100,000 individuals in the city's care. 6.1 billion. Luis, do you know how many families, American families, legal citizens in New York City that would house? Aren't we in a housing crisis? Well, I know this. I know that the housing crisis in New York State is most definitely self-inflicted by the governing body over the last several decades. That's a fact. They have taken the number one wealth identifier, right? What indicates that you're heading in the right direction, it builds wealth in your life, and that's home ownership, and they've demonized it. Right? Shame on you, Luis, for running property management. They 100%. And we're running out of time, and I want to make sure I get to this topic, Luis, because you did run for state senate, yes, and you ran a heck of a race. And I have to say that I was proud to say that I'm associated with you. And I think I learned a lot more about you since then. And I think that's phenomenal. So, see, um, but it appears. So check this out. ERA. I want to talk about that when we come back from break, Luis. Soy yo, tu conservative New Yorker, aquí a La Voz de Libertad. Ladies and gentlemen, don't change that dial. Leave a message on social media. I'll be back in 1 o 2 minutos. I see, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, let that tune just run through you, man. Feel good. Let that stress roll out. Ha! Welcome back to the next episode, Luis. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you more than you can ever imagine. Ever. So, you ran a heck of a race, Luis. And one of the things that took center stage in last year's elections was the Equal Rights Amendment that we dubbed and was accurately dubbed as the Parental Right Elimination Act. I don't know if that's exactly what they used, but that seems to be what happened. It took effect on January 1st. Okay, can you tell us? I mean, when you ran, what kind of response did you get? Now we have to assume that the majority of people were for it because it passed and won. But what kind of feedback were you getting, and are you seeing any results since it went into effect on January 5th? Excuse me, January 1st. So, so I'm going to interrupt you here real quick, Luis, because I want to ask you there's 26 states that have adopted their own version of the Equal Rights Amendment, but this is the deal. ERA's focus, their primary focus, and it's in the language, is prohibited discrimination based on sex, right? You're right. Nothing to do with abortion, nothing to do with anything else other than someone's sexual identity. It's not even I woke up this morning and I feel like a woman, and guess what? I'm going to go to the YMCA and I'm going to go sit in the what is that, in the steam room with the women in my undies or naked like they normally do. That's what that's saying. Yes. Well, there's 26 states that Sorry, there's 26 states that have an ERA, an Equal Rights Amendment version. However, the closest ones to New York are your typical ones: Arizona, Colorado, Maryland, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New York. All the liberal states. But something that caught my attention was the state of Hawaii, and the reason why that is because their constitution has included an Equal Rights Amendment with wording similar to the proposed federal ERA that the buffoon was trying to push, right? That the state stating the equality of rights shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of sex. Now, remember, Hawaii is a state with a constitution that doesn't have reference to the Second Amendment as well. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. More tyranny in New York State. Yay! I'm just kidding. Luis Martinez, thank you for joining me today, sir. Thank you so much. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Be a leader, be a leader, be a leader. Yep. Y nunca te olvides, aquí at the Voice of Liberty siempre te amamos. And check it. God bless these United States of America. Y mira, be the voice of liberty. You, you too, my friend.